Against the Ropes podcast.
Contra las cuerdas.
Against the Ropes podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. AtR podcast. Gio Garcia here alongside Christian Mosqueda. Back for another episode, 272. Big heavyweights. We're back in the building.
And we're getting up there with Zile Zong kind of weight, Gio. 272. Let's go.
Yeah, we're up there, man. And obviously a lot of action last weekend, last Saturday. We're going to start with what you guys see there on your screens. Leon Paro pulling off the upset in Puerto Rico against Subriel Matias. Of course, we're going to get into the other fights that happened that Saturday as well, but we'll begin with this one. Leon Paro pulling it off. Unanimous decision against Subriel Matias, who, brought out a lot of people out there to Puerto Rico. The crowd was silent at the end of the fight. Usually a good sign of how that fight went. And, Leon Paro pulled it off.
Yeah, Gio, unfortunately, I couldn't make it out to the fight. The flights got, derailed there in Florida, our second stop due to the weather, man. But we still able to enjoy the fight. Got to ask you your thoughts, Gio. What did you think of the fight? Were you disappointed with Subriel Matias, or were you impressed by Leon Paro?
Yeah, I think very disappointed with Subriel. I think, this was the homecoming, the fight where he was supposed to shine. He didn't fight the toughest guy at 140. I think Leon Paro was brought out there for him to defeat, for Matias to shine, to look good, perhaps get the knockout. We predicted a knockout, and, one of the things that the broadcast team was talking about was, that hometown curse. The one that comes to mind more recently is that Regis Prograis, when he fought against Danielito Zorrilla in New Orleans, struggled. Many people thought that he lost that fight. Another fight at 140 pounds. Ultimately, he got the nod. And I feel like most of us thought that Matias was going to get the nod simply because it was in Puerto Rico. I'm a bit confused as to why the referee was Puerto Rican. I don't think I've ever seen that before. But very disappointed in Matias. Paro went in there, did what he had to. He didn't look intimidated by Matias. He fought a smart fight. He landed his punches, held a lot, and he didn't get knocked out. So, I think it was a very, very surprising result. And I'm very surprised that Matias never hit that third, fourth, or fifth gear the whole fight, really.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. First of all, props to Leon Paro, going into Puerto Rico, Like we said, like I said on the previous podcast, going into the Lions Den, very tough assignment against the boogeyman at 140. Very scary dude. We know the history. He has a body on his record. Knocks out every guy that's put in front of him. So, if you're Team Paro, even though I'm sure you believe in your fighter, it's still a very scary task to do. And for him to do what he did in that and that ring speaks volumes to his boxing level. Just like you, Gio, I'm a little disappointed in Matias, and that just like you said, he never got anything going. We're used to him losing early rounds, and somehow breaking his opponents down the stretch, and it didn't pan out. You brought up that home curse. That's a real thing, Gio. Like, again, you got all your friends, family, distractions. The media is pulling you every way. Again, it's a lot of pressure. The fight that comes to mind is Sergio Martinez. When he fought the Brit over there in Argentina. Even though he got the nod, I didn't see him winning that fight. It was very close fight, but I saw Murray winning that fight. But again, it's that curse again. You're getting pulled each and every different way.
Yeah, and let's go to some comments here. We got some reaction too by our listeners. Jesus skips right into the Gzodyk fight. We'll get into that. He says saludos. Also to Pachuco checking in. Big Bro checking in too. He says Matias got overconfident and thought he was going to KO him eventually. Also, admittedly, he also don't listen to his corner. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. I think he was being a little too patient. Usually those power punchers know that, that one punch is going to land eventually. In this case, it never really came. He had his good moments at the end of some of those rounds. A lot of those rounds were close, but Matias a little too passive, a little too overconfident. Like I said, I think he was banking too much on those power punches, and never came. And Paro's now one of the champions at 140. We also got Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney. Leon Paro adds his name to that list, and I'm sure everybody is gonna be licking their lips. No Diddy, saying, "Oh, Leon Paro's the champion now. Oh, that's the title I'm going after." I don't think we get a rematch here. I don't think Subriel Matias' performance was good enough to warrant a rematch. Maybe they want to run it back. You mentioned Australia, but I'm sure everybody else at 140 is saying, "Man, I want to fight Paro." We know our boy Arnold Barboza Jr. has been calling him out for years and years. I'm sure a lot of those guys, are going to be looking at Paro like a potential, I don't want to say easy fight, but he's the easier one of the champions. There's guys like Gervonta Davis who don't have any real belts. I'm sure Paro is going to get a big fight.
And Gio, the commentators were, comparing this fight to to the Teofimo loss to Cambosos, Aussie fighter kind of dethroning the man at that division in that first fight. Do you feel like this fight was bigger upset than the Cambosos, or was Cambosos a bigger upset?
Well, I think for sure the Cambosos won. I mean, yeah, I never rated Cambosos. I don't think even top 5, even when he was a champion at lightweight. I think that was a much bigger upset than this. I think this, on paper, it was supposed to be a good fight. I think most of us favored, obviously Subriel Matias. Obviously, the fight being in Puerto Rico kind of probably closes that gap as far as, the similarities between, which one was a bigger upset or less of an upset. But yeah, for sure, I think Cambosos, no disrespect to Cambosos, but I don't even know if he ever cracked the top 10 lightweights for me.
Yeah, and Gio, coming to this fight, there was people, that just like us, we kind of expected Matias to get a knockout. Now, there was a bunch of fans on social media ready to call him No Mas Diaz. Can we put that to rest now, or do you feel like he just had an off day and just a bad day at the office?
Well, man, look, I think people forget things very quickly. You're only as good as your last fight. So I feel like if he gets a couple wins in a row, especially against good opponents, I think people might forget about this. Look, he still has 20 wins, 20 KOs. He suffered his second loss. Yeah, for now we got to put those comments to rest. You know, I came out here last week and called him the most dangerous man in boxing. Posted a clip about it, and man, that didn't age well at all. You know, but yeah, I think boxing fans forget things very quickly. So I feel like if he can get a few wins in a row, a few stoppages in a row, I think people will hop back on that hype train. But yeah, man, I'm still very surprised. Very surprised that, you know, like I said, he never seemed to get off that second or third gear the whole fight. Uh, Tito was there. He was very animated. You know, they were interviewing him and stuff. He had the backing of all the people. Adi says, man, that long ass ring walk just to lose. Like, yeah, it was very disappointing. Very disappointing. To me, it was a boring fight. I had both fights going on my computer, and you know, I came out here last week and criticized that PBC card, but I found myself watching that fight a little more than the Matias fight that was supposed to be more entertaining. So, yeah, very disappointed by Subriel Matias.
Yeah, this fight, Gio, I kind of predicted it would go kind of the way of Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez. I kind of predicted, that just like Caleb Plant won a bunch of those early rounds and was resorting to the clinching, I kind of felt that, Matias was going to break him down, and that was not the case. Like you said, we didn't get to see those third and fourth gears that we normally see. Do you think that Matias has the capacity to do that? Maybe was he like, let's say they take the fight, say, to Australia, to Las Vegas, a neutral territory where he claims, and we saw the post-fight interviews where you could tell he was pretty honest, where there's no distractions, where there's nobody, pulling him each and every way. Do you think we see the Matias that we're used to seeing?
Well, yeah, I mean, he has the power to. He has the power to. I think he just had a terrible day. I don't think he's done. You know, I still think he can beat a lot of those guys at 140. Big Bro here says Cruz is still the weakest link here. Yeah, he's definitely the smallest. You know, he's definitely the smallest. Probably the easiest target. Because all those guys are much bigger than him, you know, physically. But no, I don't think Subriel Matias is done at all. I don't think they should be worried in that camp. It's not like he took a beating. I think he just had a terrible night in the office, and I'm sure he'll be back. I'm sure he can get that title back. I'm still very disappointed, but I'm sure he can be back. I don't want to spend too much time on this fight because, like I said, it wasn't the most entertaining fight to me. And we'll pull up our predictions too. We'll pull up. I did the math and I got our new records, Chris, and we'll show it to the fans soon. But we definitely got this one wrong.
Yeah. No, yeah. Final thoughts on this one. To me, Leon Paro, second biggest win of his career. You know, the first one was with Montana Love, knocked him out. This one, big upset. I put him in the top 5 boxing wise, but yeah, again, I also agree with you, Gio. It was an off night for Matias, not the Matias that we're used to seeing. So, no knock on Paro. Great skills in that ring. I want to see him against the very best that are out there in that 140. And hey, can't wait to see, Matias bounce back. Again, he's very entertaining for boxing.
Yeah, and Leon Paro, 28 years old, Subriel Matias, 32. And look, Leon Paro now improves to 25 wins, 0 losses, 15 wins by KO. But as you mentioned, the Montana Love name, outside of that, this is why I was giving him no chance, because look at the opponents he's faced. I mean, I don't think we recognize any of these guys. Fighting in Australia, essentially his whole career. I thought this was going to be too much of a step up for him to be able to pass his test, but he did it. And we'll see how long he can, keep that title. Like I said, I'm sure the other guys right now are looking his way and saying, hey man, that's a belt that I can collect there, but we'll see how far Paro can take it. He's 28 years old, he's in his prime, so a huge win for Australia. We talked about Australian boxing last week. Leon Paro right now probably up there, with Tim Tszyu taking that loss, but they have a lot of talent out there, so I'm sure they're very, very happy and surprised that they got the nod in Puerto Rico. But let's go ahead and move on, Chris. Let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. We have well, we can go straight into David Benavidez, Chris. You know why? Because he wasn't even the headliner in his card, Chris. He won't even be the headliner on our show either. He's an undercard. He's an undercard name right now. David Benavidez facing Olesandr Gzodyk. Goes 12 rounds. Couldn't really hurt him throughout the fight. Won most of the rounds. Jesus, I think, said he had Gzodyk winning. Let me scroll back up to that comment, but let me get your take on this. You know, I think I said last week if he didn't stop Gzodyk in under 6, it was going to be disappointing, or under 5, whatever I said. You know, 37-year-old Gzodyk, a Gzodyk who retired for about 3 years, had been fighting some 6-rounders. He hadn't fought in a 12-rounder since 2019, 5 years. So this is definitely a Gzodyk way past his prime. 10 years older than Benavidez, and still had Benavidez struggling a little bit. Let me get your take on this fight. You're a big David Benavidez fight, so I want to hear what you have to say.
Hey, so I'm a big fan, like you said, Gio, but I'm also gonna keep it real. You know, that's what we do here on this podcast. Like you said, we said our if Benavidez doesn't finish, you know, Gzodyk, like you said, a prime, past his prime Gzodyk at 37, he doesn't finish him under certain rounds. I know you gave him less rounds. I gave him like a round or two extra. We would not be impressed. And even though it is his first fight at 175, we know that he walks around, you know, 200 plus. So, in my opinion, not his best performance. He looked lackluster. You know, there was moments, like you said, Gzodyk, you know, got the better of him, especially in the early rounds. You know, we know that Gzodyk is known for his boxing skills, but hey, this is the Mexican monster. This is David Benavidez. This is the guy that's been calling out Canelo for 2-3 plus years. And yeah, again, I wasn't impressed. The only thing I could give him is his first fight at 175. I'm sure he's adjusting to the new weight, but again, not lackluster performance. Moments of brightness, but nothing overall to say like, hey, you are the monster. So hey, hopefully he looks better his next fight around.
Yeah, so a couple things there. It definitely wasn't his first fight at 175. That's a myth. I mean, you can go. I'll show you guys on BoxRec right now, but I just want to show you guys Gzodyk. We talked about this last week. The last time he fought 12 rounds was here, March of 2019. So over 5 years ago. Took that loss to Gzodyk after that. TKO'd in the 10th. That big unification bout. I'm trying to close this here. After that, he took a few, you know, 6-rounders, a 10-rounder, an 8-rounder, you know, fighting guys, just trying to get back into rhythm of things. And I mean, he went 12 rounds with David Benavidez. I mean, I'm shocked. I don't know how Benavidez allowed that. He said he was injured. You know what they all say when they can't knock their opponent out. But yeah, he's fought. I think his second fight was at 180 pounds, you know, and he has a few fights there over at 175 or over. He has about, I don't know, let's say like 10 fights at that weight class. So this is definitely not a new weight class for him. He's fought at light heavy before, no excuses, especially against a guy 37 years old, retired for a few years, came back, got probably his last big paycheck. And let me tell you this, he actually looked good against Benavidez. I mean, this is shocking, right? I think against any other guy, imagine Canelo fought Gzodyk, right? Imagine how much criticism Canelo would take. But, you know, David fights him, doesn't shine. And I heard a lot of that excuse, Chris, the one you gave. Oh, his first time at 175, which is not true. Oh, maybe the injury. Oh, Gzodyk has only been stopped once. Yeah, that was 5 years ago. He's 37 years old now. So I think inexcusable, but it's David Benavidez, so they'll let him slide.
Yeah, again, we can't forget that Gzodyk was, you know, Olympian. Again, that's his prime, but
Yeah,
he's still
Chris,
an Olympian. He
Chris,
still put on a good fight.
that was 20 years ago, Chris. That was 20 years ago.
Hey, skills are skills, Gio. Ukrainian school of boxing is it is what it is. But again,
man.
37. Again, with that momentum that Benavidez comes, you know, the momentum he's had the last, you know, 5-6 years, and like you said, Gzodyk taking a beating, and a beating that sent him into retirement. We covered his first fight in the comeback, small little card in Pomona. We weren't too impressed. He looked very, very rusty. we just expected Benavidez to do what he did to David Lemieux, what he did to some of those other guys that are past their primes. And yeah, man, again, Gzodyk showed, a bit of a class in that fight, and David Benavidez disappointed.
Yeah, let's go to some comments here. Let's see what people are saying. Benavidez giving the excuse of injuries. Truth is, he doesn't have the destructive power when he faces people his size, says Big Bro. Adi says, David, I'm going to create my own path at 175. F. Canelo. He fights Gzodyk, then proceeds to activate his WBC mandatory afterwards against Canelo. He said he was going back to 68. Now, I don't think he wants to stay at 75, but we'll see. They saw a veteran and Gzodyk was able to survive without ever being hurt and marked up his face. Got him almost looking like Haney. That's another thing. Benavidez cut by a punch early in the fight. He had more marks than Gzodyk. Gzodyk had a clean face after the fight. So, I mean, obviously that's not an indicator of who won. I do think Benavidez won. I think all of us think Benavidez won, but it was a terrible look. PBC, the commentators were trying their best to hype up Benavidez and say he was dominating and looking great, but hey, man, I saw what I saw. I saw what I saw. Last comments here before we let you continue, Chris. Benavidez versus Gzodyk was literally like Isaac Cruz versus Giovanni Cabrera. Big Bro says, funniest part was him trying to explain what the injury was, stuttering and looking back to his team to tell him what it was. Yeah, that was funny. I think his dad was like, ligament. He kept telling him to say ligament. Dad, what'd you say? I broke again, says Hadi. He better stay away from Bevo and better BF, says Big Bro. He ain't ready. He knows it himself. That's why he's going back down. Yeah, that's the part that surprised me the most. Benavidez saying, oh, I want to collect all the belts at 75, but right after the fight, he says, no, I'm going back down. So I think that's a big indicator, which I'm surprised. Like I said, he's fought at this weight class before. Yeah, I think he's been doing a good job lately. I mean, look, more recently, he fought at that weight class against, who was it? Alexis Angulo. He didn't make weight for that fight, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the one he missed weight for. So it wasn't that long ago that he fought technically as a light heavyweight. So yeah, no excuses on my end. To me, I've always said Canelo would beat him, and I mean, I don't think David has done anything lately to prove me otherwise.
Yeah, just like you said, Drew, I'm also shocked that he was saying I'm moving up to 175, and then to immediately say after the fight moving back down to 168. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Chavez Jr., where he made the jump up in division and gets knocked out. Realizes that there's divisions and there's weight classes for a reason. Maybe David saw a little bit of that, realized, oh man, it's a different ball game. Like, even though you say he has campaigned at that division, I think he knows, that those guys are truly, truly comfortable at that weight class. And, maybe he wants to jump back down, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Some fighters can flirt with that 168 to 175, depending on how their body feels, that given 6 months out of the year. So we'll see what happens with Benavidez. But yeah, definitely a little surprising for him to say that he's going back to 168.
Yeah, and some interesting things that he said also after the fight was, they asked him his weight. He claimed to be 189, Chris. Are we buying that? 189? He said he only gained 14 pounds.
Yeah. I like the guy, but nah, he walks around 200. Walks around 200.
What else did he say? I don't know. We'll have to see. Look, I mentioned the cut. It was interesting because I saw in the middle of one of the rounds, the ref signaled that there was a cut caused by a punch. I'm like, oh man, he opened up Gzodyk. And then I look at David's face, and he's the one bleeding. And then, that blood seemed to disappear a couple of rounds later. I was like, man, that corner is doing a great job. And it was Stitch on that corner. Chris, I don't know if you noticed, Stitch was in his corner. So that cut didn't play a part at all in the fight. But, I thought that was interesting. He was well protected. Stitch, top notch. He's the best out there. So definitely that cut didn't Didn't cause him any trouble, but yeah, I'm surprised that Gzodyk went 12 rounds at this point of his career. Like I said, he hasn't done it in 5 years, so I was shocked by that. Both men looked gassed at the end, tired. I think Gzodyk actually threw more punches than Benavidez. I thought the fight was closer than maybe the scorecards showed, but nonetheless, good win for David Benavidez, and he's out here looking like Tank, Chris. He keeps collecting them junior belts.
Yeah, I think after this fight, I don't think you can favor him, against a guy like people. Like we said, Gzodyk is a good boxer and past his prime, but a good boxer, and we know people is in his prime. We saw what people did against Canelo with those boxing skills. Didn't need power, just needed discipline and the school of boxing in that fight. So if he does that with Benavidez, I think it's an easy UD for Bebo. As for Beterbiev, even though he is getting out of his prime and having injuries more often than before, I think he still has more than enough power to hurt somebody like David Benavidez. And again, I do like David. I think he connects with the fans. He keeps it as real as any fighter can. He almost feels like he's your neighbor. But yeah, again, I think he's starting to understand that maybe one weight class is better suited for him, and we'll see what happens. Again, I think he's great action for boxing, and so I love to see him go back to his ways. But again, lackluster performance in my opinion for David Benavidez.
Yeah, and what I'm looking at here is the pay-per-view numbers against Andre, Chris. Um, s- one one of the sources put 60K. Is that true? 60K. They're saying on this one too. A couple of the websites are saying 60K. Uh, not sure if that's 100% accurate or not, but let's give him 75K against Andre, right? Let's just be nice. PBC inflates the numbers anyway. Let's see what he did against Plant. You want to take a guess?
With Plan, I'm gonna say 125K. That one has some bad blood.
Okay, so it says 49K TV pay-per-view buys. If you go with the what? If you go with a 2-to-1 streaming over TV Edge, you're looking at about 150K. Not sure what that means, but 150K. This one says 750K. No, that's not real. Um,
He's like, that's not real.
that's probably a PBC source. But my point is, look, he's not a headliner. He doesn't sell pay-per-views, but he's still calling out Canelo. But look, the people want to see it, Chris. So I think the fight will happen. I think the fight will happen eventually. He'll probably get a tiny split. I don't think he deserves a big one, but it seems like them and their team they don't care about that, right? That's what they've said in the past. So, um, yeah, I can see the fight happening, and I don't really see Benavidez getting better, Chris. So, uh, I think Canelo, even though he is getting older, he has 60 plus fights. I think he should still be the favorite. I'm not gonna be disrespectful and say by a lot, but Canelo has fought way better opponents than David Benavidez.
For me, and Addy makes a good point. There's certain fighters that they're able to win on brute strength alone. They're able to sometimes weight bully their opponents. Matias, I don't want to say he weight bullied, but you know, he had that style where he overpowers, opponents into submission. But you come across these really good boxers, these great boxers, these great technicians like like the Canelos, then you find out real quick that you got to have more wrinkles to your game to win. I think David has one or two dimensions that he's really good at. And he's able to break down opponents and overpower and win the more of the rounds. But I think when you go up against guys like Canelo, other guys are a little bit more elite. I think that's where he's gonna come. He's gonna fall short. But again, he's good for boxing. He's entertaining. Fat. The style is friendly. So I like to see him. In better matches, more guys in their prime. And hey, again, just fan friendly fights.
Benavidez versus Gzodyk was a gentleman's sparring session, says El Pachuco. He also says, I think Munguia would beat Benavidez at 68. And he also adds, I hope we get to know the real pay-per-view numbers for the past PBC events. I mean, do you want to make a prediction, Chris?
The last one for this event?
Yeah, for this one.
Tank.
I couldn't find anything. I Googled it before the show started. I couldn't find anything. So I'm not sure they'll post anything, but
I want to say, if I had to predict, I would say like 250K. Again, I think we talked about this, right, Gio? We said certain numbers. Obviously, we're no experts, but we picked certain numbers. What would be a successful pay-per-view event? For big names like Canelo, for big names where you're mixing Ryan and a Tank. I think anything over 500K is successful. For lesser names or guys that think they have a name, if they don't sell at least 250 to 300K, in my opinion, it's a dud. Anything under 100K is just like you're not selling anything. It's a flop. So for this one, Tank is a good name. Benavidez has some stock with the Mexican people. I want to say at least 250K. You have to sell at least 250K, to come close to that success, in my opinion.
Adi says 600K. I'm gonna go under 200K. And I think only because they shot themselves in the foot. Like the outcome of these fights were predetermined. Let's keep it real. Like I don't think anybody predicted that Martin would beat Tank. I don't think anyone predicted that Gzodyk would beat Benavidez. I think these fights were set up for Davis and Benavidez to shine, to get KOs. Davis did his thing. Benavidez couldn't. I don't think there was much on that undercard either. I don't know. I think it'll do under 200K. But it's gonna be very interesting. Let's see next week when we come back. Let's see if they have any numbers out there. We know it's PBC and they tend to inflate their numbers. But we'll see. It should be interesting. I'm saying under 200K. You're saying about 250. I think we're thinking about the same number. Adi says 600K. If this one does 600K, that's amazing for fights that were so wide on the odds. I think the Benavidez one he was like plus 650 or something like that to beat Gzodyk. I'm not sure. We can look it up with Davis, how big of a favorite he was against Martin, but yeah, the fights weren't anything close to 50-50.
So Joe, we have about 9 people watching. You, me, 11. Let's open up. Anybody that paid for that pay-per-view, we'll give them 50K. So let's start with you and me. Did you pay for this pay-per-view, Gio? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay. I didn't pay for it. Found a way to watch it, but we didn't pay for it. So that's 2 down, 9 people to go. If
anyone paid for it, let us know.
Of those 9 people, let us know who paid for it. And if you didn't, just say no. But for each person that said they paid for it, we'll give 50K buys.
Adi says Amazon workers were forced to buy it. That's why. Adi says he didn't pay for it. He doesn't work for Amazon.
Oh man,
150 to 200 says Big Bro. That's what Tank numbers look like. Besides the Queen Wright fight, yeah, and Tank has tanked a lot of those pay-per-views. They just keep putting them just to, I don't know. PBC is struggling out there, but I did, but I pay for every fight, says Mad Dog. All right, there it goes.
That's 50K.
Hamza says no.
No, see, no Adi, nor Hamza. Right now, this fight has only sold 50K so far.
We'll see if we find any other buyers out there.
But
yeah,
again,
go ahead.
With Tank and Ryan, what did they sell? I know we heard numbers of like 700, right? 700 plus.
Tank and Ryan, they're saying 1.2, right? That's the last number that I heard. Allegedly, 1.2 million.
I always say that those numbers are inflated. I take away maybe 200K. Like if they said 8, I'm like, all right, 600K. And to me, that's still kind of successful. That's still successful for Ryan, Tank, guys that haven't really fought, name recognized fighters. So that's still successful, but not many guys can reach those numbers. Tank alone, I agree. Maybe 100K, 150K. You got to have a good opponent. You have to have the right opponent to bump even 50K off of that. But yeah, let's see who we got.
Big Bro says Amazon was on it. I was trying to get my coworker to find it on his IG, but he couldn't find a stream.
Yeah.
I heard through a friend that the streams kept like crashing and stuff. Not sure if that's true, but that's what a friend told me.
For me, my stream was all right. The one that was failing
allegedly.
Allegedly, the one that was failing allegedly was Leon Paro, Matias. The sound kept going out. But,
oh wow!
I mean, you always get those kinds of stories.
Ruben says too poor to pay $80 for fights. Maybe if they were around 50. Yeah, it was $80, man. Like who would pay $80 to watch Tank fight?
Just
maybe if he's fighting Riot,
yeah.
But Frank Martin, really? You gonna pay $80 to watch him fight Frank Martin? Come on, man.
There should be a formula, Gio. Like, if you're a name, minimum you can charge 40, $50 tops. If you don't give me a name, like it shouldn't go up over 50. If you got somebody with some notoriety, some name, all right, add another $10. But yeah, this one in my opinion should not have been over 60. 60 was like the max, and that's pushing it.
Man, you know how many views we have to get $80? Like, man, we're struggling out here, Chris. I can't pay $80 for that. Come on, man. But anyway, last thoughts on David Benavidez before we go to the headliner, Tank Davis, Frank Martin. On my end, I'm gonna continue to speak out on it, Chris. I know most people aren't. Most people are gonna let him slide. Most people are gonna say, "Oh man, he's fighting a bigger guy. Oh, he was new to 175. He was not new to 175. He's fought at that weight class before. He fought a veteran who retired for a few years, came back to boxing. 37 years old. I said last week, there's no reason why you're 27 years old. You're in your prime. You're calling out the face of boxing. There's no reason why you should be fighting a guy 10 years older than you." Disappointed by Benavidez once again. He was on a good run. Caleb Plant, Andre, not the biggest names, but there's something. Now he goes back to the Lemieux type of opponents, right? With Gzodyk. Disappointed, surprised that he wasn't able to finish Gzodyk. Surprised Gzodyk even went 12 rounds at this stage of his career. But I saw that Gzodyk posted on his Instagram that, he's going to give it another go. So it looks like we're going to watch him again. As far as David goes, if he gets that Canelo payday, he's going to be the most fortunate man in the world, man. Because as of now, definitely this performance doesn't warrant that. But if people want to see it, it might happen.
As for me, Joe, I'm only disappointed because I know that David can do better. I know he is better, and he needs to fight better opponents to showcase his skills. But this one was not it.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the main event of that card, that pay-per-view card, $80. Oh man, PBC killing boxing fans out here. But Gervonta Davis stops Frank Martin 8 rounds. He predicted an eighth round stoppage, and that's exactly what happened. I took a look at the scorecards. I think all of them have Tank up by 1 point. Frank Martin started the fight very, very well. All judges gave him the first 3 rounds. I think I was gonna say Showtime, the Amazon broadcast crew, I think had Martin up. If I'm not mistaken, at the time of the stoppage, he fought a good fight, but he was fighting on the back foot for the most part. I think most of us saw that big punch coming. He was able to land some decent punches on Tank, but Tank seemed unbothered. And, Derek James kept telling Frank Martin to stay off the ropes. For some reason, he didn't listen, kept putting his back against the ropes. And when that happens, you put yourself in trouble. And, he didn't make the count. He took a big uppercut, I believe it was, and then a big right hook by Davis, and that was all she wrote. If I'm not mistaken, you predicted a KO as well, right, Chris?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and Gio, this was the typical Tank Davis fight. Gio, he's always losing early rounds. He lost early rounds to Barrios. He lost early rounds to Leo Santa Cruz. It seems like he loses early rounds to everybody. He lost early rounds to Devin Haney and sparring. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's a Tank Davis kind of fight, Gio. He's always losing early rounds, and he always finds a way to either knock you out, hurt you, submit you, and put you out, lights out. That's his one of his biggest weapons is that power. And yeah, man, Tank Davis did what Tank Davis does. Knocked out Frank Martin. He was a name, but without a true resume. So again, he just did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's what Big Bro said. He did what he was supposed to do. Though thought he would get him out of there a couple rounds sooner. Martin fought scared after the first couple rounds. Yeah, it didn't seem like Martin was convinced that he could win the fight, and he was doing good. He was doing good. I thought he was overachieving in this fight. He was boxing well. He was able to avoid most of those big punches that Tank was throwing. It looked like Frank had a good game plan on the defensive end. On offense, he didn't look that confident to me, and again, he kept just sitting against those ropes, and Tank capitalized. And that was that. We'll see where Frank goes after this, but I think he was 18-0 before this fight. Let me go ahead and pull that up. You see our predictions there. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. Here you go. Tank Davis now 30-0, 28 KOs, 29 years old. Frank Martin drops to 18-1. He's also 29 years old. Like I said last week, not much on his resume either. We'll see where he goes from here. I don't think, the top guys would be, getting in line to fight him. He's not the most exciting guy out there. Like we said, he fought a little scared, didn't look very confident. He doesn't have a big name. Not sure why Gervonta Davis chose to fight him. He's not a champion. Not sure he's even fought for a title fight before. So I'm kind of confused as to why he was the opponent. But I guess if you wanted to see a highlight real KO and allow Tank to shine, I guess he was a perfect opponent for that. But otherwise, I don't think Frank Martin helps pay-per-view sales. I don't think he helps legacy-wise. So I don't know. Back in the day, you would call this a stay busy fight, Chris. Nowadays, with guys fighting once or twice a year, I don't know what they call it now, but yeah, Tank did what he had to, what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that know Frank Martin's name. Just the little hype over the years. Social media helps a little bit. The guys that grew up with them, that maybe he was in and around their level growing up, still winning, still collecting W's. Guys like Ryan Garcia kind of hyped them up a little bit, like, saying that, hey, Tank may not get past Frank Martin. So, some of the fans were like, oh, I know something we don't, but apparently he didn't. And I find it funny, Gio, when the commentators say, "Oh, he's never been knocked down," and then boom, next round he gets dropped, knocked out. It's like, I get it. That's what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to fill in those blanks. We commentate ourselves, but I just find that a little bit funny because it's like I could be fighting nobodies and go 20-0 and never be knocked down. It's when you get in there with some real opponents, you're gonna get dropped here and there. That's just the name of the game. Name of the business. It's gonna happen. So when they said that, I'm like, what did he fight? So yeah, it was just funny that the following round or the round after that he gets knocked out. Again, like you said, he was fighting scared, fighting very well, but I think he saw that curtain was closing upon him, and that's why, in my opinion, I give props to Isaac Cruz. Even though I know you guys you're not too high on him. He's a little dude, but he gave Tank the toughest fight thus far of his career, making Tank not even want that rematch.
Yeah.
So, I'm Frank Martin, fought well, but hey, nothing special.
Hey, and look, I wouldn't mind watching that rematch now, Chris, with Pitbull Cruz, because if you're gonna give me a choice between Tank Davis and Frank Martin, I'm gonna go with Tank Davis against Pitbull Cruz 10 times out of 10. I'd rather see that than this, you know.
Yeah.
At least Pitbull, fought back. He won a lot of those rounds. Some people had a draw. Some people had him winning, you know. But he never seemed hurt by Tank. You know, he kept coming forward, make Tank uncomfortable. I'd rather watch that than a guy who's gonna be stepping back 99% of the time. And the first big punch that he takes, he takes a nap on the canvas. I'd rather watch Pitbull Cruz with that energy, with that chin, with that heart. But I don't have too much on Tank Davis. We'll see what the pay-per-view numbers do. There's those delusional people who are trying to call him the face of boxing. PBC's trying to sell it hard, but I mean, when the guy is out here selling 100 pay-per-views, um, he's just not that. I mean, he's not even close to that. He's probably not even top 5, in the world when it comes to selling tickets, selling pay-per-views, popularity. Earlier, oh man, who had a comment? I'll scroll up to it right now. Who was it? They said, Mad Dog says 60K pay-per-views. I think we're talking about Benavidez. Canelo put 75K people in one building. Levels, there's levels to this, man. And Tank is not there yet. If he starts fighting better competition, we saw what happened with Ryan. Obviously Ryan brought the majority of the crowd, but allegedly that one did over a milli. So, there's big fights out there. These guys got to take them. He's about to turn 30. I don't know what they're waiting for.
Yeah. So we got a couple more people that trickled into the podcast. The question is, how many pay-per-views do we think that Tank and Martin sold? For anybody that says that they pay for the pay-per-view, we're giving them a 50,000 number credit. So far, it's only been one guy, true fan, Mad Dog, who always buys the fight. If we inflate it, we give one, that's 100K. But right now, the true number is 50K in our opinion. So if anybody trickles in and you tell us that you bought the fight, we'll give more credit to the number that we're guessing that pay-per-view sold. But yeah, Gio, again, Tank Davis gets another knockout. What's the fight that makes sense for him next? I know there's been a lot of narratives coming after who people think he should fight, who people say he's ducked over the years. Maybe now is the time to make that fight before it truly goes over the hill. What fight do you think makes sense for Tank Davis next?
Oh, you got to fight one of the top dogs. I think there are no other options. I think he's taken too many easy-ish fights. We'll get into the clauses in a little bit. There's a question about that. Let's look real quick at Gervonta Davis's resume and career so far. 30 fights. Obviously, he had that fight against Ryan, where there were also those clauses implemented. Ryan quit. Hector Luis Garcia before that. Rolly Romero. Isaac Cruz. Mario Barrios, who also had clauses. And then that's in 2020 before was when he was fighting the smaller guys. Leo Santa Cruz. Iorquis Gamboa. Ricardo Nunez. Hugo Reis. Jesus Cuellar. Francisco Fonseca. Liam Walsh. Jose Pedraza, which I still think is probably his best win. Not much there in his resume. If you go through all these names, most of the guys you've never heard of. And I guess the bigger names and the bigger guys physically, all had clauses, including Martin, allegedly. Martin posted this, and there were a lot of rumors. Right here, Martin posted that there was a 10-pound rehydration clause in the contract. I'm not sure if that was confirmed or not, but I think those were the rumors that he did have clauses on Martin too, and that they didn't care about it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's the Mayweather effect, right? Even though he's beefing with Mayweather nowadays, but that's what that camp does. So when you're the A side, I guess you can.
I was just gonna say that, Gio. Yeah, I heard about this rehydration clause. And even though I don't know all the specific details, pretty much he's limiting how much guys can rehydrate. He did it. He did it to Ryan. It seems like he did it to an extent to Martin. Like you said, Gio, and I was just about to say that. Even though he's beefing with Floyd, and we see true animosity between them, he is taking some pages out of that blueprint. And we know that Floyd, had a history of playing the A side ever since that Oscar de la Hoya fight. Where he had to take the B side and agree to all of Oscar's stipulations. He decided to do that back to fighters. But a little petty. Mayweather, we know, for all his greatness, he's a petty kind of guy. And so Gervonta is just doing the same, doing the same. And this might affect him down the line in his legacy. A lot of people are always going to remind him, those fights or those asterisks, and he may not get the full credit. But yeah, man, that's something that we've been hearing, that he does put stipulations when it comes to rehydrating for his opponents.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm just reading some other articles on here about the clauses and this and that. But yeah, you guys can do your own research. We got to keep it moving. We got to keep it moving here, but yeah, not much on Tank Davis on that card, I would say. We'll see what the numbers do. If the numbers do well, then Amazon PBC will have no problem, putting on these types of cards, if they're selling and people are still buying them, but we'll see. We still haven't gotten many yeses, Chris, on that live chat. So let's go to some last comments here before we move on. If Cruz happens to be Rayo, they're going to try to build that Tank fight, since the first one was quote unquote close. And Pachuco says, I'm high on Pitbull Cruz. How can you not like Pitbull? He's an aggressive pressure fighter that throws bombs. Yeah, I just haven't seen him fight many names. He lost to Tank. Who did it be? Rollies. He doesn't really have that big name yet. I think that's why I'm not going to say I'm not big on him. I just think stop overrating these guys, man. They got to prove it to you first. Winning a championship off Rollies doesn't tell me much. I'm going to be honest. But Chris loves Pitbull Cruz. So, hey, Chris is on your side, Pachuco.
Hey, I've always said Pitbull's like the Vegeta, man. He came up short. Got beat up by Frieza there, but hey, man, give him some space, man. He's gonna come through. He may take a loss here or there, but I think he's gonna make some big statements. That Rayo fight, that's a fan-friendly fight. Respect to Rayo, for taking this kind of assignment. It's gonna be, again, fight of the year in my opinion. Nothing but action. I don't see that fight going the distance, but yeah, man, I'm a little high on Pitbull, but I agree with Gio. We got to see him fight the names and see where he comes out when the dust settles.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll give it some time, man. Hey, people love Pitbull though. I mean, let's be honest. If it wasn't for Pitbull or Andy Ruiz, how many people would be going to that LAFC stadium to watch Crawford? Let's be honest. Right? These guys are the ones who are going to be doing all the selling.
Yeah, I was going to say that's some smart stacking by the powers that be, by Turkey, by organizers. You cannot not put Mexican fighters in LA next to Terrence. I'm a big Terrence Crawford fan, but I also keep it real, and that he's not the biggest ticket seller. Not even close. But you put in the right guys, the right talent, in and around, certain counties and demographics, you're gonna sell. So, very smart to put in, Ruiz there with Pitbull Cruz. The Mexican fans in LA truly love these guys.
Ruben Bias says Matias was improving and people were hyping him up. I don't think that's true, man. 20 wins, 20 KOs, and he has a body on that resume. I don't know what else you want. That's scary stuff. I won't even expand on that. You're going to see Cruz don't hit as hard as De Los Santos, who stopped Rayo, says Big Bro.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are going to, again, I don't want to take anything away from Leon Paro. Part of me says that Matias had an off night, man. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Something tells me it was a bit of an off night again. Anyway, just that was not the Matias that people are used to. Again, Leon Paro is a good boxer, much better boxer than we anticipated. But something was off with Matias last Saturday.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. No big name, says Via. Pitbull doesn't have any big names either, so I guess they're even. I guess they're even, but yeah, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, who's got the better name? Tank, right? Tank has a better resume than Pitbull Cruz. He's got gotta give Ryan, right? Ryan some kind of name, not a champion, but no, he's got some skills in there.
What do you think about Ryan wearing the shirt? Pulled up the picture right here. It says Tank's #1 fan, and he says pretty much give him the rematch on the back.
I think Ryan's just trolling. He's just being funny at this point. I think I don't want to say they're buddies outside, you know, but I mean they're like, hey, we could both make money. There's no bigger fight out there. We made great money the first time. Let's run it back. You owe me that rematch. You put stipulations on me. Come on, man. Let's do it back. Let's fight at 140. You know, if you're that guy, if you're him, let's run it back. I think Brian's just trolling.
There you see it. And then here is the stuff that Tank and Floyd were beefing before the fight. Floyd said the fight was going to be canceled and all that. A lot of gossip stuff, but let's see what else we have. Because obviously we have interesting fights coming up. The month of May, Chris. Next week we will be previewing these fights. Of course, I know you guys are excited about that June 29th fight. ESPN Plus. Oh, Teofimo Lopez against Steve Claggett, Chris. You cannot escape. You cannot escape this topic. Big fight right here. Can't wait. June 29th, Miami, ESPN Plus. Steve Claggett challenging Teofimo Lopez. Oh, man. Can't wait, Chris. Can't wait. If this was pay-per-view, I would pay for it, Chris. Where can I donate money? I want to pay for this fight.
300K pay-per-views minimum. But no, I saw an article today where Teofimo was quoted in saying that Claggett was the only guy that took this assignment. He was the only guy that wanted to fight Teofimo. Come on, man. And again, Teofimo's another guy that we run across. I like the kid, good guy, very talented. But come on, can't be saying that kind of stuff, Gio. Come on, don't play with us.
Yeah, there's so many fighters out there. It looks like we're gonna get Sandor Martin against Devin Haney as well, right, Chris? Did you hear about that? Top Rank won the bid for that, like 2 point something million. Haney was a bit upset at that low ball number. Apparently, no other promotional companies bid for that, and Haney said I should have just bid myself. But yeah, it looks like we might get Haney versus Martin.
Man, Haney takes his second loss of the year, man. Yeah, I saw that tweet where he kind of called out, his former promoter in Matchroom. Matchroom didn't even try to, to bid for it, and that's a bit of a slap in the face, Joe, right? Because you take this big L. That's where you see the side of boxing. You see the business side of boxing, where you think like, hey, man, it's just 1 L. Like let's run back, let's make some money, let's do this business, and for that company to be like, nope, like
Yeah.
not even a fake kind of like low ball kind of offer, nothing at all. So yeah, again, I would feel a little disrespected too, Gio. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. But I think, look, I mean, do you want to be nice and lose money? If you're Eddie Hearn, like, let's be honest, Subriel Matias against Leon Paro isn't a fight that would sell. The fight sold because it was in Puerto Rico. Like, Eddie Hearn was very smart to do that. Took Leon Paro to Puerto Rico, got him to accept somehow. He believed in himself that much. We all thought it was a setup. We're like, oh man, this guy's going to go out there, get knocked out or lose by decision. He's never going to get a decision. But it sold because it was in Puerto Rico. That's a good move. Haney versus Martin, it's not going to sell anywhere in the world. Maybe in Spain, maybe, but anywhere else in the world it's not gonna sell. So do you want to be nice and make a bid and lose money, or you want to be smart and keep it real?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, again, I guess they said Tom Brady won it, um, much lower bid than the Haney's expected. But yeah, man, even though you still have the belts, that loss just really hurt your stock. And obviously, we're still waiting to see what happens with Ryan post all that drama. But yeah, man, that a knockout's a knockout. You know, even if you claim you got hustled, you got cheated, those highlights they're still on our channel, man. Got some of the biggest views on our channel, so though you can't erase that from people's minds.
Yeah,
And Eddie Hearn, no,
1,000%. And like that as a comeback fight, against Martin, who you like. Martin, you're big on Sandro Martin. He obviously defeated Mikey Garcia. Many people thought he defeated Teofimo Lopez, but he's not a name like that. At the end of the day, it's a business first. So 2 point something million sounds about right to me. No disrespect, but Chris, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I agree, and that makes sense money wise. Both of these guys, even though Haney has some the accolades, not a huge ticket seller. Sandro Martin, good little boxer, but just doesn't have the name recognition. Spain is known for soccer, not for boxing. So it is what it is, man.
It is what it is. And look, as I was looking over here on my left side, it says with Tyson out, Paul to fight bare knuckles Perry. So is Mike Tyson out? Is that right?
It looks like he got moved to November 15th, and they
Oh, wow.
found another bloke, as they say over there across the pond, to fight Jake Paul.
Wow, I had not heard about this. Don't care much, but can't say you're surprised, huh? Oh, this is very interesting.
Yeah. Hey, again, Jake Paul, whatever he had to do, he's got. I don't want to say he's got some skin in the game, but he's got a name in the game. Every time we use our little hashtags and stuff, like I put Jake Paul, that could you get hits, whether it's the
Hey.
YouTuber, whether it's the youth. Hey, people are tuning in to watch this kid. So again, not saying he's a true boxer, but he put in some of that work. He's got some of the entertainment factor. I have no idea who he's fighting. I don't think you do either, Gio. I don't think anybody knows who he's fighting. But yeah, again, hey, he's bringing some eyes to the game.
Hey, man, let's keep it real, whether we like it or not. He's the third biggest name in boxing right now. And that's how sad the state of boxing is. He's the third biggest name after, obviously, Canelo and Anthony Joshua. I mean, he's number 3. Let's be real.
I think he's one of the few that he actually puts his numbers out. Because even if he had some bad numbers, it's still relatively good numbers for boxing terms.
Yeah, you know what? I think it might be third. It just put 55,000 people in the Tokyo Dome over there in Japan. I'm not sure. I haven't checked Jake Paul's live attendance numbers like that, but I'm not sure he's putting 55, is he?
Yeah, nah, I don't
Probably
think he's
not.
winning
Probably not.
numbers. Nah.
Yeah, he's top 5. He's top 5. All right. But anyway, let's continue on that schedule. As I said, we'll be talking about this fight here next week. Oh, man, this is the big one right here. We talked for months and months about that Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk fight. This is another pound for pound fight here. Juan Francisco Estrada El Gallo versus Jesse Rodriguez. Bam. For Estrada's WBC title at junior bantam. What is that? 115 or 118? I think it's 15, right?
I believe so, yeah.
But this right here, we're gonna see how Gallo is coming into this fight as he passes prime. Obviously, he's had many wars. Soren Visa, Chocolatito, Carlos Cuadras. I would say the real 4 kings of this era. Bam trying to insert his name. He's been kind of knocking on that door for the past couple years. And now he gets this fight. We'll see if Gallo is passing on the baton or if he's holding on to it All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope we're still live. I hope you can still hear us. A bit of technical difficulties here, but as we were just concluding, this boxing schedule here for the month of June. Obviously, the big one, Francisco Estrada against Jesse Bam Rodriguez, pound for pound fight. We talked so many months about that Fury Usyk fight, and now we're getting this one. This is another big one, Chris. Chris is there. Chris is back. Look at him, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, Chris.
Yeah, dude, this one is the fight I think most fight fans are really looking forward to. They know that we have a future, if you don't already have him in pound for pound, a future pound for pounder in Bam Rodriguez, former pound for pounder in Gallo Estrada, passing of the torch, two Mexican fighters, one Mexican American and one true Mexican. Both guys, really not wanting to take an L in this fight. And dude, I've been loving the social media messages. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the messages I've been going, but a lot of fight fans, like I seen this one this morning. How you dress to your sister's wedding, how everybody's gonna go dressed to this fight with the tux, just looking fly. It's funny, but I think that's the sentiment of this fight. This is a pick 'em fight, fan friendly, two of the very best in that division, and I know Bam Rodriguez is really looking to cement himself as a great, and this is one fight that can put him there.
Yeah, 1000%. And well, I don't know what just happened here, but is my thing freezing up? What's going on here, man? I'm trying to pull up the predictions, Chris, our predictions. Oh, there it is. My thing was messing up, but no.
I saw it earlier, man. I saw a couple X's next to my name, man. That cannot be right, man. I cannot have that many X's.
All right, well, it's on their screen now. I'm trying to blur out the background. Oh, there it is. So, look, Chris, you see your record up there now? Chris got 10 correct predictions, 7 incorrect. He's at 10-7, 9 KOs. Hey, you got a good KO percentage there. The KOs basically, if you guys see the parentheses there, if we got the method of that victory correct, we get a KO. So, for example, when Cobbs defeated Broner by decision, we both got that correct. So we get a tally. We get a number, a +1 on that W column, and we get a +1 on that KO column. So, Chris 10-7 so far, 9 KOs. I'm 9-8, 8 KOs. Man, I took one more L than you. I think it was that Usyk fight. I don't think we gave our official predictions the week before because I was out of town, but we had spoken about this before. You were rolling with Usyk, I was rolling with Fury, so I want to give you credit for that one. So I put that up there. I took that X on there. You took that green check mark. But recently we've had a good streak. We started good, then it got a little rough there in the middle. We started getting some incorrect as we started stepping up in competition, but once we got the hang of it, we started getting more and more correct. You see Canelo, Inoue, Blair Cobbs, we got that one correct. We're going with Matias last weekend, got that one incorrect, but we'll have some time to try to make up some of those losses, Chris, and that Bam Rodriguez against Gallo Estrada is going to be a real good one and tough one to predict.
Yeah, man, dude, that's what happens. We start off hot. We know that people remember the first round, and then we kind of relax a little bit in the middle. People go to the bathroom and they go get their popcorn, their pizza, los tacos, lo que sea. We kind of give away those rounds, yeah. And then we came back strong championship rounds because that's what people really pay attention. But hey, man, again, it's all good. We got a streak going. We got momentum going. We're back to our winning ways. That's what matters. But yeah, man. Hey, thank you for how I feel about Usyk. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous, Gio. I was a little nervous in that fight in those middle rounds when Fury was just going to school. He's going to school with those long arms, man. It got me a little nervous, but hey, that's why Usyk's the man. And again, we mentioned on previous podcasts that rematch. I got to start looking for tickets, man. Again, that one, I think it's going to be the most motivated Tyson Fury that we've ever seen. he's been able to overcome big obstacles. When it comes to Klitschko, when it comes to the Bronze Bomber, but I think he's never faced somebody as skilled as Usyk, and he saw it in that first fight, and he knows that he needs to come prepared. So I'm expecting the best Fury we've ever seen.
Yeah, and that's gonna be exciting, man. And we'll break it on down. We have quite a few months to go. I think next week is gonna be all Gallo against Bam. That's the other big one, man. Can't wait for it. Pound for pound fight. But as far as this week goes, that is all I have. We did have some fight announcements recently, Chris. And let me look those up real quick while you give your goodbyes.
Yeah, no, for me, just thank you guys for leaving your comments, your opinions, your suggestions, and we appreciate it. And we try to read as much of those as we can. You guys always make us laugh. You guys always, bring up some good questions that help us kind of, just analyze either the boxing match or the development of any event. So thank you guys for being part of this podcast.
Yeah. Thank you guys for keeping that chat lit. Thank you guys for those of you just joining us. We are about to sign out soon, but before we get out of here, we did want to make these fight announcements. Friend of the show, Right Hook Roxy, will be fighting Friday, July 26th in Commerce. All right, so good friend of the show, Right Hook Roxy's second pro fight. That's going to be under 360 Promotions, Tom Loeffler. And then also our guy, Alan Garcia, they recently announced that fight too. I believe he's going to be on the undercard of Venado Lopez. Venado's going to be defending his title Saturday, August 10th, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Alan Garcia, who has signed with Top Rank. Was it earlier this year, Chris? I believe.
I think so.
And he's 13-0, 10 KOs now, so they're keeping him active. He'll be fighting on that undercard, so be on the lookout for that. We still got a couple months to go, so we'll be talking all about it and hopefully getting some interviews as well. But once again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for keeping that chat lit. Big shout out to Steve Claggett. I'm sure is watching this show. Heard he's a big fan. And that's all we got, man. If you're new to the channel, please sub. Follow us at Againstdaropes, Against the Ropes, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever you call it nowadays. What's the other one? Threads, Facebook, all of those, man. You'll find us anywhere.
And again, Gio, Madrimov just arrived to India, or training right here. Maybe, kid you not, 5 minutes from where I'm at. We'll get some interviews with Joel Diaz. We'll get a little bit of B-roll with Madrimov as he prepares for his fight against Terrence Crawford, August 3rd in LA. And another announcement that just barely came out maybe a couple days ago was another fighter out of India. Joel Diaz is the India boxing gym. MJ just got, signed, or he just got announced that he is the contender for Naoya Inoue's title through the WBC. So I think he left a message for Inoue. You guys can check out, his social media, but he sent a message to Inoue. I'm going to go over there to the Indio gym and get a little bit of B-roll, some behind the scenes of him training, as I'm sure they're going to try to get that fight in Japan, whether they are favored or not, which likely they're not. It's a big money fight, life-changing money. I'm sure they're going to take that fight. It's for a title, and they might have to go to the Lion's Den in Japan against the number one pound-for-pound fighter, and Naoya Inoue, or as many people have him, 1 or 2. So yeah, we'll get those videos and put them on our channel, Gio, and yeah, man, get some exclusives there with Joel Diaz and his fighters.
And that's all we got. That's all she wrote. Thank you, blokes. Thank you for checking in. We'll be back soon. Let's go, mates.
Cool.
Let's go, mates. Hey, man, hold up. We can't leave without AB.
And I don't know who NM is, man.
Flat out.
Go AB.
Let's go, mates.
Hola amigos, soy Juan Francisco Gallo Estrada. Quiero mandar un saludo para mis amigos de Contra las Cuerdas. Échenle muchas ganas. Un abrazo, muchas bendiciones.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. You know what mine is? Let's box, bitches. It's almost fight night.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you for the support. Keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job. So thank you and best wishes.
Against the Ropes. Huge shout out to Against the Ropes. Against the Ropes.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you guys for the interview and hope to see you guys soon.
Against the Ropes, always doing the right thing.
Shout out to Against the Ropes, man. I appreciate you guys for having me, taking the time on y'all day.
Against the Ropes, #1.
Freddie Roach.
Thank you very much.